Ask Reddit.
What is a sign that you are not attractive? Story 1. As a woman who has been seen as unattractive, average, and attractive, I can say this: when you are seen as unattractive, the first thing you feel is invisibility. People avoid eye contact, ignore you, and only interact when they absolutely have to. But when you do need to interact, like asking for help or clarification, the difference becomes impossible to ignore. You feel like you're a burden. Their responses lack warmth, patience, or any real care. It's not outright hostility, just a cold disinterest that makes it clear they'd rather not be dealing with you. Some will still help, but it feels more like a formality than genuine kindness. You feel like they want to be done as soon as possible. Meanwhile, those same people will go out of their way to find someone they find attractive, offering time, support, or even opportunities, and they'll do so with visible enthusiasm. That contrast is very real, and unless you've experienced both sides, you probably don't realize how profoundly it shapes the way people are treated. Story 2. Some signs include: you're ignored on social media and in real life, you're bullied, you spend most of your time isolated, people give you weird looks. People are always saying they're working overtime at work, or at their family's wedding or funeral, or they don't answer their phones when you call. You might even find out later, from a stranger tagged in your family/friends post, that you were actually having lunch together somewhere nice. But when you confront them, they'll lie to your face and say, "We tried calling but couldn't reach you," or something along those lines, even though your phone is always on. You'll value kindness, integrity, and loyalty over material gain because you probably learned early on that material gains are meaningless and you know the sting of being alone and bullied. So you work really hard at work and are nice to everyone, only to find out your attractive 19-year-old coworker is somehow a manager after 5 weeks, when you've been doing the same outstanding job for 6 years. It's basically like loading up a Halo 3 game on legendary mode in the solo campaign, watching all your good-looking friends play it on easy. Looks matter, dude. Story 3. A new guy at my job was telling me how practically every man there had approached her and tried to strike up a conversation her first week. When she asked if I'd been done the same thing when I started, I had to try to explain, as cheerfully as possible, that no, not a single man has voluntarily approached me in the entire year I've been working here. She went on about how it happens to her everywhere, how she's always being approached and how annoying it is, and I sympathize, but the concept is so foreign to me that I can't even wrap my head around it. Story 4. When I was a teenager I was one of the most handsome guys in my high school. A lot of girls talked to me, hit on me, 5 even asked me out directly during those years. I was extremely immature, however, I didn't care about the dating thing, all I cared about was playing video games 24/7. Around 16 or 17, I finally went through puberty on my brain, but I also suffered a terrible physical decline in the process. Girls no longer smile at me, hit on me, or ask me out since then. It's been hard, uneasy face. It's crazy how easy it is to get girls when you're a good-looking guy. I was stupid and didn't care, and yet I still got girls' attention. Story 5. People don't look at you. If you're in a crowd and no one's looking at you, you're probably not attractive. This is something that really stands out when you get good at it. You get used to being invisible and suddenly you feel like everyone is staring at you all the time. It can be very uncomfortable. Story 6. I got out of a long-term toxic relationship in January and have lost 60 pounds since then. I feel better than I have in years, like I finally got my confidence back. But going out in public feels different now. I used to feel invisible when I gained weight in that relationship. Now I feel seen, and it's a weird adjustment. It's a great feeling, but it also comes with pressure. Like, I'm not used to being noticed so much. It's empowering, but a little scary at the same time. Story 7. I'm not what people consider an ugly guy, so take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, but I do think people's eyes are a good sign. People can't look away from a mess, especially if you're a really ugly girl. People check out good-looking people but stare when someone doesn't look normal. If people don't look at you when you're out, then you're probably pretty solid average, and a wardrobe change and a good skincare routine is enough to raise that to above average. However, people who are horribly scarred, people stare at them, try not to interact with them. If you're not badly scarred/wounded and people still treat you like that, then you're probably really ugly. Story 8. If I don't wear makeup, I wear my glasses, and a baggy sweatshirt hiding my hair and baggy pants, I feel like I have invisibility superpowers. No one looks at you, people don't look you in the eye, it's surprisingly different. I've always been pretty confident in my appearance, but only then did I appreciate what everyone was talking about with beautiful privilege. I'm not saying I'm God's gift to the earth, to be clear. I've just experienced both, the average experience and the attractive one, at least to some degree, although my model-looking friend, literally, seems to have superpowers. It makes me sad because getting older will probably have the same impact, a disappearing act. Story 9. When you're ugly, people look at you and are generally unkind. If people don't look at you and you feel invisible, you're average. If people look at you and are kind and even helpful, you're attractive. Story 10. These responses are heartbreaking. No matter what any of us in society think, you are never ugly. It's our beauty standards that have decided these things. But the most beautiful people are those with good, pure hearts. The ugliest people on earth are those with very miserable souls, that is, evil hearts. If you could see what even the beautiful ones look like on the inside, we'd all be scared stiff. So don't let society make you believe you're worthless. Besides, anyone who calls you ugly as if it were nothing, there you go, they've proven me right. Story 11. Maybe people never ask you for anything. For example, never ask you for information on the street, or for a cigarette, even if you don't smoke, or the name of a street. I think being attractive is literally being a magnet for the energy you project, so if people never feel the need to approach someone, it may mean that person's energy is off. Another thing is that you never get a compliment on your looks, your style, or your haircut, ever. Story 12. If you're a woman, the answer is that men don't pay attention to you. If you're a man, the answer is that women don't want you to pay attention to them. Story 13. For me, it was a time in my life when I tried to make positive changes. I couldn't afford a medical degree, so I ended up being an ACP, Advanced Clinical Practitioner, which is just below being a doctor. He played sports regularly and was fit. I had my own house and a car. But when I went out, no woman was remotely interested in me. I was the stereotype of, oh, he's a great guy, but not for me. Then at work, I heard the nurses in the break room talking about boys and it was my turn. He has a radio face. It's weird because I always knew I wasn't attractive, but hearing it hits me differently. I tell my wife I still don't know why she's with me. I still freak out when she gets her eyes checked. I have this irrational fear that one day she'll get contact lenses and notice how I look. She is, to this day, with the exception of my mother, the only woman who has ever complimented my appearance. You have to be strong in this world. Story 14. A pro tip from an older lady: a surprisingly large part of attractiveness comes from style, health, condition of skin, hair, teeth, grace, how one carries oneself and how well one treats others. When I was younger, I realized I could make men walk into walls and drop things depending on my outfit and behavior. Now I also know I could minimize all of the above and intentionally make myself invisible or even ugly. So don't take your level of attractiveness as something you can't affect. Story 15. People are quite keen to specify that it is a friendship between you. I once asked a girl out to dinner on a Saturday night. I was really excited when she said yes. We texted about it all week. Then, like an hour before I was supposed to pick her up, she called me and said, "Wait, we're just going as friends, right?" It's hard to feel uglier than that. Story 16. People aren't throwing their dogs at you. I'm a 37-year-old woman. I lost 115 pounds last year, then started lifting weights and dressing up. It's unreal how much attention I get. Almost all the women are nicer and flirt with me all the time. I've always been attractive, but now that I'm in shape, it's like night and day. Story 17. As I read these comments, I'm just going to say, fuck it, when it comes to how attractive I am to others. For me, life is about living it. Life is too short, and we have limited energy throughout each day, to waste it on people who lack the social skills to treat people fairly, regardless of their attractiveness status. Find the style that makes you say, fuck yeah. I look good in this, to the mirror. Make your style your own and be genuinely passionate about it. What colors do you like? What are your favorite materials to wear? What types of pants and shirts do you enjoy wearing the most? I hope these are helpful reminders for some of you who struggle with being in public. Don't make decisions based on people or support people who don't know how to treat others properly. Don't let their insecure struggles become yours. People who are passive-aggressive simply because of your appearance don't deserve your dignity. Story 18. How people treat you. Almost my entire life, until about a year ago, I was very, very fat. Not ugly, but very fat. I had decent success with women given the circumstances, but I wasn't exactly breaking records. I lost about 63 kilos and improved my style a bit. Obviously, I'm more confident because I feel much better about myself. I dress better because the clothes I have changed radically, and how they fit has also changed a lot. I would say I am average to slightly better than average looking. People are so much nicer to me. I don't feel invisible anymore. I don't feel judged anymore. While it's not something that happens often, but much more often than before, people are nice to me. They're actually interested in talking to me a little. When I was obese, I can't tell you how heartbreaking it was that on the rare occasions that people did talk to you a little, they would often walk away while you were actually saying something. I mean, really. Story 19. In my life, I've been both a fat, unhealthy goth with long hair and piercings who only wore black clothes and didn't care what I ate, and someone who goes to the gym, bodybuilding 5 days a week for the past 13 years, doesn't eat junk, takes care of my skin, wears nicer clothes, and got a stylish haircut. There's a huge difference in how the general public treats you when you look fit, healthy, put together, and stand tall. It has nothing to do with how ugly you are. If you have charisma and confidence, it doesn't matter. When I started working out, the compliments started coming in, people were more engaged in the conversation, and they respected what I had to say more. I was able to make small, flirty comments as simple as, "It must be nice to be the best-looking woman in the room," and they would be well received instead of being perceived as weird. So take care of yourself, get fit, get healthy, and your life will change for the better. Story 20. My mom, who was very pretty, always told me there was no point in trying to improve my looks because I would never look feminine and no guy would want to marry me, so I had to study hard. I thank her for that. I ended up educated, started earning my own money, finally broke out of that toxicity, and actually got the courage to date people in my mid-20s. I dated a couple of great guys and then got married. I'm grateful for all of that because my friends in school, who were pretty and confident, had their fun too soon, most of them ending up with shitty jobs and shitty men. Story 21. When I was in my 20s, it was a tough time. I started going bald when I was 19. I have a nose that basically made me wonder if my French ancestor is somehow connected to Adrian Brody. To top it all off, I was a bit shy. I was also a perpetual student and didn't have a lot of money. Many times, after I worked up the courage to talk to a girl, if they were polite, they'd make sure to mention their boyfriend, sometimes several times in a conversation, just in case I hadn't understood the first time. If they weren't polite, they'd simply take out their frustrations about their day or their life on me in an instant. When I was in a cafe, shopping for clothes, etc., if the clerk was a young woman, they would remain expressionless, laconic, and avoid eye contact. Things got a little easier in my mid-30s. Story 22. People pay less attention to you. I've gotten a little older and gained a little weight, and my experience in the world is different than it was years ago. I have to start conversations, and they have to be really interesting. Before, either I was approached or I'd just say something like, hello, and things would move on. People are also much less tolerant. Personality matters a lot, and people are alienated by things like having an opinion they don't like. When I was attractive, I used to have fun saying the nastiest things possible just because it was funny watching people squirm and pretend to agree with me. I can't do that anymore. Story 23. I have to chime in. I have two sisters, one with hair the color of the mother of dragons, thick, long, and straight. Her face is beautiful. She never wore makeup, she didn't need it. The other one, with long, ultra-shiny, pin-straight, platinum blonde hair, wasn't pretty because she was mean and lazy as hell. They're both tall, have long legs, a nice ass, and flat chests. I'm a D cup, 5 feet 6 inches, I've been told many times I have fabulous legs, a 24-inch waist, a very pretty face, any extra pounds go straight to my stomach, and my butt is as flat as a board. I have thick blonde hair and wake up looking like I've been dragged through a hedge backwards. My mom kept my hair layered and short, so I looked like a 1950s movie star at 13. I always said if I could rotate my body and put my belly where my butt is, I would have a perfect body. My dad is tall, dark and handsome, my mom is short, great hair, tiny waist, big tits, big ass, perfect. My two sisters were deeply insecure and never had a boyfriend. The older sister was withdrawn and uninterested in people. The younger sister was lazy beyond words. They both had 3 failed marriages and are now single, we're older. I got married, finally, at 53, to a guy who was the complete opposite of my friends, but he was deeply protective and gave me everything and more. I was the life of the party, a good listener, had tons of hobbies, lots of friends, and was always going somewhere with someone. No one came over to our house except my friends. My younger sister had 1 friend, my older sister had 0. So, beauty is truly skin deep. I think Bella Hadid is exquisitely beautiful and still hasn't gotten over her split from The Weeknd, I'm not sure how to spell that, from ages ago, who is no Brad Pitt. Beauty comes from within, once you recognize a charming and mischievous smile, a hilarious laugh, a joker, a charming and gentle person, a kind and caring person, someone with leadership skills. Without Bobby, no one would have pitched a tent, caught a fish or managed to put up a volleyball net, he could do it all. My point is, I fell madly in love with a lot of guys, not because they were handsome, rich, or had tons of money. I adored them for who they were. Mick Jagger lips, and all the guys wanted to kiss him to see what it felt like, and they all did. We were dying of laughter. Then it was all the girls' turn, and I'd already kissed him, so many times, and we couldn't keep our lips in place because we were laughing so hard. A great group of friends is so important, as each of us has a type, and the larger your friend group, the more likely you are to meet someone who thinks you're the best. And romantic chemistry is totally out of your control, so smile, laugh, and be yourself. We can't control loving someone, falling in love. Be the best you can be, regardless of your opinion of your appearance. Be confident. You're not there for every woman or every man to desire you, you're waiting for the one. Be patient, but be prepared. Story 24. Oh my God, where do I start? Growing up with 2 brothers, everyone paid more attention to them, saying they looked like models. One of my aunts, whom we hadn't seen in a while, was congratulating them as we walked into her house, and when it was my turn to greet her, she didn't know what to say and told me my hair had gotten too long. My mom always told me I needed to look pretty like other girls my age, I was in middle school and just a late bloomer. In high school, a guy I was dating at the time asked another girl to prom because he thought she was prettier. I wouldn't say I'm ugly, you know. Boring. So guys don't notice me. I wear makeup and dress nicely, but I guess I'm invisible. It also doesn't help that I'm short and petite, so people think I'm 15 or 16, so guys my age probably don't notice me. I have small eyes and pretty light skin, so unless I do full drag makeup, I probably look closer to my 30s. Story 25. If you're attractive, other attractive people, usually of the opposite sex, tend to be kind, respectful, flirtatious, and will compliment you. People you're attracted to are probably also attracted to you. You'll also notice that people look at you often. If you're unattractive, you don't receive much attention from the opposite sex, and when you do, it's platonic in nature. People who do pay attention to you may also find you unattractive, and you notice. As a guy, I also notice other guys being intimidated by me and openly trying to joke around, if they're confident, or challenge/argue, if they're insecure, with me about who's stronger, who could beat the other up, etc. I'm 6 feet 11 inches, 250 pounds, and very muscular, so it makes sense. Growing up as a fat kid who got picked on/disrespected by other guys and felt invisible to girls, I've seen both sides. Story 26. I'm a teenager, but it's easy to tell. When I started high school, from the first few weeks, they made fun of me, and when there were false rumors that someone liked me, bullies made it up to annoy me, my classmates told me they didn't believe it was true. And also if only your family compliments you, or older women after getting close, and whenever I complain about my ugliness, they tell me not to say those things, to be confident, that there are more important things in life, but people don't deny that I'm unattractive. And on the street, the only thing they look at me is if they can see my legs. It sounds very specific, but it's one of the few things that really shows me. Also, sometimes I feel like the mirror almost shattered, and when people are honest with me, they end up accepting that I'm ugly. And they've also told me that I look like my father. Also a lot like my mother, but that doesn't matter. If you're a woman and someone tells you that you look like your father, it's a bad sign. I've also been told I look smart. I know attractive people can be very smart, but they were clearly telling me that because I'm ugly. And a guy who was even uglier than me also liked me, and they told us that we matched well, that we made a good couple. Story 27. Ugly kid, red hair, freckles, glasses, Dumbo ears, buck teeth, skinny. Before freckles were cool. For the most part, I just rocked my face, plus the help of braces, plastic surgery to glue my ears on. Kids at school told me no one would ever like me, along with every cruel nickname you could imagine. But then I got hormonal acne between the ages of 17 and 21. When my acne was really bad, I would overhear little kids asking their carer, "What's wrong with her face?" when I was out in public. It used to feel like a hot knife to my heart. My acne is now completely gone thanks to 18 months of Accutane, and I think most people should consider me conventionally attractive. However, I still struggle. Once you've spent a large part of your life being told that you're ugly etc., you never really recover from it. Story 28. One sign could be that people don't respond to your presence, like no one looking you in the eye, smiling, or starting a conversation. You feel invisible. But, and this is a big one, sometimes it's not about your appearance at all. It's about your energy, your posture, and how much confidence you have. I've seen people who aren't conventionally attractive still get a ton of attention because they seem fun, easygoing, or magnetic. So if you feel unattractive, it's often more about how you feel about yourself, and that projects outward. People respond to that. Confidence is strangely more visible than bone structure. Story 29. If you're attractive, you know it. Women flirt with you. If you're ugly, you know it. No one flirts with you, and if you comment on your appearance, people offer you half-hearted encouragement. If you're simply unattractive, you know it too. You don't turn heads, but no one is quick to comfort you if you mention your appearance. This is anecdotal, but as someone with good-looking friends, ugly friends, and average friends. When one of my handsome friends brags about being handsome or jokes about being ugly, the gang teases him. "You're uglier than a toothache, dude. I know 2 fat guys, and you're both of them." When one of my ugly friends jokes about being ugly, everyone says, "No, you're not ugly, what are you talking about?" Story 30. Easy. When I was little, I went to a ton of church and school activities, and I was constantly approached by these really cute girls, asking where my older brother was. And then complaining that he hadn't been there. I had to relive the whole experience when I moved into my first apartment in college, made friends, and hung out with my roommates, one of whom was a quiet but super friendly guy who looked like an Abercrombie and Fitch model. Right away, the parade of gorgeous women approached us, asking where the hottie roommate was. Story 31. People don't seem to look you in the eye or smile at you in public. Like, you're walking through a store or at a party, and it's like you have an invisibility cloak on. That could be a sign. Or you notice that people always try to pair you up with someone who has a great personality. Also, if the compliments you get are always about your clothes, your hair, or your sense of humor, but never about how you look. That could be a clue.